Hey, you guys, welcome to Talk About It Thursdays. I am your host, Karen Bailey. Let me know when you're on. I will be more than happy to say hello to you. I hope you guys are handling this July heat. I can honestly say that seems like the more mature I get, the less I like the summer. I like the idea of the kids having a break from school and having family time, but this heat right here, I could probably barricade myself in the house if I didn't have to go to work, and I would be just fine staying inside. You guys give everybody just about maybe 30 more seconds and we'll go ahead and get started because you know I like to be on time because I know y'all have other things to do. I have other things to do. Hey, Rashida. I actually have a plumbing project I'm going to work on when I'm done here. Something simple, so I want to get on to that as well. You guys, hope you had a wonderful 4th of July. I hope you guys were safe and got a chance to spend some time with your family and your friends. You know, it's all about love, you guys. It's all about making the most of the moments that you have in life. And it doesn't have to be a holiday. We need to make more of an effort to spend more time with our family. You know, make a reason to come together. It doesn't have to be just because it's a holiday, just because it's a funeral, just because it's a family reunion. You know, don't limit yourself to that. Hey, Kinsley, don't limit yourself to that. Make sure that you're spending time with the people that you say that you love. A lot of times we take everybody for granted, and then when they're gone, it's too late to do those things that you want to do. So let's not be those type of people that end up taking people for granted, and then when they're gone, we're sitting around talking about what we wish we could have done. Last time, you guys, we talked about they ain't your friend, sis. We talked about that, and we talked about how you can recognize when people are just really not your friends. Sometimes people are your frenemies. Sometimes they are just around you just to see what they can benefit from being around you. Sometimes you just have those qualities, or you have those abilities that somebody needs to borrow, basically, or to use. And sometimes that's the only time people want to give you any time of day is if they need something from you. And we deserve better than that. You know, we need to be better friends, but we also need to expect better out of our friends and not tolerate, you know, people just hanging around just to get something from us. But that's what we talked about last week. So I hope you took an inventory of the people in your life and realize, you know, who you might need to distance yourself from a little bit and who you might even need to spend more time with because maybe you've taken that friend for granted. Well, today our topic is called Wandering Woman. And the reason I chose that topic is actually something that's dear to my heart because I spent a time in my own life being a wandering woman. And what I mean by wandering is to go about from place to place or season to season without a plan or a definite purpose for your life. I've had times in my life when I just didn't know what I was going to do. You know, I was getting up, I was going to work, I was taking care of the kids, I was taking care of a husband, but I was lost. And there was nobody that I could talk to about that because it wouldn't have made sense to them. It's a spiritual thing. It's a inside thing that most people don't understand unless they've gone through it. You can have all these things around you, the best of everything, the nicest house, the nicest car, you know, a million friends. But sometimes you can still be lost inside if you're not where you know you're supposed to be. So that's what we want to talk about. Just being a wandering woman. And it doesn't have to be a woman, it could be a man. Sometimes we just don't have a plan for our life. Sometimes we just out here living from day to day, just like living from paycheck to paycheck. That gets old after a while. You want to have a little bit something extra. You don't always want to be spending out as much as you make. Same thing with living. You don't want to just be living from day to day, and then before you know, 10, 15 years have rolled by and you can't look back on your life and say, hey, I did this, or hey, I did something I wanted, you know, to do with my life. If you can't look back and see your progress, if you can't look back and see that you're further ahead than you were last year, you're probably wondering and you just don't know it. If you're going around and you don't feel fulfilled and you just have this inner sadness about you, maybe you're walking around with a smile. I did that too. I smiled. Nobody knew I was lost on the inside. Nobody knew that I was seeking direction and didn't even know where to go for it. But once you develop a relationship with God, you've always got somebody that's going to direct you, even when you don't have a mentor in front of you, even when you can't explain it to somebody else, you can always go to God. Okay? That's why God says to be still and know that I am God. He wants us to stop wondering. He wants us to stop just going through life aimlessly with no purpose, no plan. You know, He created us to do a specific thing. We all have something about our individual self that God made that nobody else has. We may look alike sometimes, but there's something special that God put on the inside. He did not create anyone the same. We're all individuals. And a lot of times we don't tap into our gift. And a lot of times our gifts go to waste simply because we don't want to stretch ourselves. We don't want to extend ourselves and see what else we can do. And so God wants us to be still, get planted, so that He can water you, so that he can help you grow. A lot of people don't like growth because it's uncomfortable. Growth is painful. Growth means letting some stuff go and some sacrificing. And it's not always fun to do that. I hate it. When there's a season in my life where it seems like God is pulling people away from me. God is taking things from me. God is redirecting me, reshifting me, because it means I got to let go of some stuff I'm used to. I got to let go of some stuff that I like. I got to let go of some stuff that makes me feel comfortable. But that's all a part of growth. Your growing pains have a purpose. So we need to stop fighting against God and just be still and make up our mind that we're going to try to do something positive with our lives, that we know that we have a purpose, and make it your life's business to try to find out your purpose. Don't go through your life and die with your purpose. You've got something in you that nobody else has. You just have to be willing to use it. And when we wander through life, just living life from day to day, from year to year, a lot of times that leads to low expectations. If you don't expect anything of yourself, 9 times out of 10, you don't expect a whole lot out of other people because you're not putting forth an effort. You don't really expect a lot from other people as well. A lot of times we waste time when we're just wandering around, when we can be productive, when we can be helping somebody else, when we can be advancing in life and making our situation better, making our financial situation better. Some people like to just sit around and complain about their situation rather than making up your mind that there's something that I can do about this. If you don't know what you need to do, go to God. Ask God, okay, God, you see this situation. What is it that's on the inside of me that can help generate some revenue? You've got something in you. God says everything you need is already inside of you. So there's something in there that will help you get what you need because He built you that way. God can't lie. He built you that way. So a lot of times when you're just wandering through life, you lose years, you lose opportunities, you lose just so many different things that you could use to maximize the moment. And that's why a lot of times people end up being bitter. It's not that they didn't have some of the same opportunities. Hey, Latasha, same opportunities. Hey, Latoya, same opportunities that person didn't have. You just didn't maximize it. You just didn't jump on that opportunity when you should have. So why are you being mad at them? You being a hater towards them because they maximized the moment. They saw that opportunity. They believed in themselves and said, you know what? I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this. Even if I fail, I'm going to try this. That's the kind of life we need to be living, you guys. We got to stop living these safe, boring, watch and see kind of lives. Because that's not living. You're just wandering through life. And then you're going to get to the point where anything you thought about doing, now you can't even do it. because you're not even physically able to do it. Do it while you can. And even if you don't succeed, at least try. That will give you some fulfillment because you'll be proud of yourself that you even attempted that. Something different, something that you've never done before. So wandering around leads to missed opportunities and not maximizing the moment. And then wandering around leads to a lack of fulfillment. And when you're not happy, most of the time you're not a happy person to be around. When all you've got is negativity, you tend to infect other people with that negativity. And you wonder why people don't like to be around you very much. Simply because you pull them down. Simply because you're not fulfilled with your life and you're not willing to do anything to make it better. You don't have to do what I do. I don't have to do what you do, but do something. If you're not feeling fulfilled, if you're feeling sad about your life, if you're feeling like, you know that there's something more that you should be doing, stop sitting around and talking about it and be about it. I mean, get out there and at least give it a try. And then if that doesn't work for you, move on to something else. Don't ever give up on trying to be the best person that you can be. You have to get out there and search for what makes you feel good on the inside. Stuff is not always just going to drop in your lap. And I'm learning that. As I'm getting older, I'm learning, don't wait for people to come into your life. Don't wait for somebody to come in and rescue you. And being single, God has really been speaking to me about, don't wait for some Prince Charming to come into your life. Stop postponing your happiness. Stop postponing your joy, waiting on the right man to come into your life. Because I don't know if that's the plan God has for me. I've been through the marriage thing. So I'm having to learn to go out there and get my own happiness, even if I have to do it with just me. And that's okay, because a lot of times what we think should be happening may not even be in God's plan for your life. So I'm learning to stop postponing things, stop waiting for other people. Even with your friends, sometimes they're so busy and you're trying to do stuff with them, you're trying to go places with them, and then every time you're trying to plan something, they got this thing going on or they got that thing. You've got to stop, because this is your life. You don't have time to wait on everybody else to jump into your happy place. You got to find your own happy place and let everybody else just come along, get in where they fit in. You can't wait on them, and you cannot wait for somebody else to come into your life to make you happy. That is not their job. That is your job. That is my job, to keep a smile on my face. Nothing that anybody else can do can make that happen for me until I learn to do it for myself. Because anything they do for me is going to be temporary. If you don't have joy on the inside for yourself, anything that somebody else does for you is only going to be temporary, and you're going to need more and more and more just to be able to stay happy, just to keep that joy. That's why you have to remember the joy of the Lord is your strength. And you have to remember that's that joy that can't nobody take away from you, no matter what circumstances going on, no matter who don't like you, no matter who left you, no matter who talked about you. That's that joy on the inside that nobody can really understand, because it's a spiritual thing. And once you get that, you won't be seeking and being so desperate for other people to make a smile show up on your face. You'll be walking around smiling and people be like, girl, what you smiling about? I don't know, I'm just happy. And I tell people that all the time. They tend to watch me, especially at work. And I had a young lady come to me. She said, Miss Karen, even at 7:30 in the morning, you seem happy. I said, because I am. I said, because I know people that didn't even wake up. I know people can't even get up out of the bed. I know people in the hospital right now, in nursing homes right now. So why shouldn't I be happy? I said, because I can't let the stuff at this job, I can't let any of my friends, I can't let anything somebody's done to me outside of work affect the joy that's inside of me. I said, number one is because I see now y'all watching me. And she started laughing. I said, so you know what? Now I'm more determined to come in here with a positive attitude, because I want y'all to watch me. And see, that's one thing that will happen when you get joy down on the inside. You want people to watch you. And I used to be one of those really shy people. I didn't like people looking at me, and like, I just wanted to back in the corner. Why are they looking over here at me? Now I want you to watch me simply because I've seen where I've come from. I've come from being a wandering woman to having some purpose in my life. And I need these people that don't have purpose, I need them to watch me. Not because I'm perfect, not because I got it all together, but I need them to see that something is happening on the inside. And if God can do it for me, he can do it for you. So I told her, I said, y'all keep watching Miss Karen. I said, you'll seldom see me get upset, but if I get upset, it's going to be for a good reason. And y'all going to know about it. And like I said, you just never know who is looking at you as an example. And that was just a reminder for me. And it just made me feel good on the inside that she came and wanted to know, why I stay so joyful, why I don't get upset, why I'm always so nice to everybody. Because that was not always who I was. I had to evolve to that. But I want them to know you don't have to wait until you get in your 50s to get there. You can be there right now. You just have to have a made up mind. And you just have to get your heart right. And then wandering through life leads you to be envious of those people that are doing good. Sometimes people can't stand to see you doing well. Most of the time it's because they're not doing nothing with their own life. And if people would focus on their own life and get their own stuff together, they won't have time to be jealous of anybody else. You don't have to compete with anybody else. Life is hard enough. Just keeping yourself on track. I ain't got time to see what you're doing over there. If you're doing great, I'm happy for you. I ain't got no real long conversation for you because I probably got something I need to be working on for me. But just know that I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. But then that's it. I don't have all that. Worrying about trying to outdo you. I'm trying to outdo me. I'm the one that's got to get better. I'm the one that I've got to improve on every year. So I've got enough stuff on my own plate besides worrying about what you're doing. Another thing, from wandering around, it leads to bitterness. I said that before. A lot of times you get bitter later on in life and you're always criticizing people and you're real cynical simply because you know you could have done better. You know you could have done more with your life. So rather than admit that you were the problem, you'd rather nitpick on other people. Don't be that person. Do something with your own life so you don't live a life of bitterness and comparing yourself to other people. That happens when you're a wanderer. You try to figure out, how is she doing this? How is she doing that? Because she made a choice. It's just that simple. When you make your mind up, when your head get right, then your feet can get right and you can move and do what you need to do. And then sometimes there are those people that will try to be a copycat. They'll try to outdo you in whatever you're good at, whatever you're shining at. They want to try to steal your shine. But one thing about it, what's for you is for you. They can try to do the same thing, but it won't be as good. It won't have your flavor on it, so to speak. So a lot of times when you see people all of a sudden trying to do what you're doing, because they feel like they can be better at it than you, let them go on. Because it takes more than one person probably to do that particular thing that you're doing. And just know that that's good, that they're doing it, but just know that they'll never be able to do it like you. So you don't ever have to be jealous of that. You don't ever have to worry about competing with that person. Because a lot of times people that mimic you, they want your success, but they don't want the sacrifice that comes with it. A lot of times they want the fame, but they want to take shortcuts, and they don't realize along with that fame comes a lot of pain and a lot of sacrifice and a lot of discipline. And a lot of people just want to take shortcuts and just be in the limelight. Okay? And when you're discontent and when you're going through life without a purpose, it leaves you unfulfilled. And you end up feeling empty. Even when you've got all this wonderful stuff around you, you may have every material thing you can think of, but there's going to be that emptiness inside of you. That's when you know you're a wandering woman, when you don't feel fulfilled in your life, when you still feel like something is missing in my life. That means you're still wandering somewhere, and you need to seek God for your purpose to feel that, and so that you can walk in the purpose that you need to walk in. And why does our purpose even matter? God put us here not just to wander this earth and be in relationship with one another, but He had a purpose specifically for each and every one of us. And why would your purpose matter? Your purpose matters because it will get you in the right places at the right time. When you're obedient and when you're willing to surrender to God and tell God, you know what, God, I know you created me for something. I don't know what it is, but God, use me. I'm willing to walk in the purpose you have for me, but I don't know what to do. He will start opening doors for you. When you're sincere about it, He'll start opening doors for you that no man can shut. People will be trying to sabotage you along the way. And you know what? If it's your purpose and if you put God in the midst of it and told Him you willing and ready and able, He's going to make it work out for your good. He's going to get you in the right place at the right time with the right people to get you to your purpose so that your life will be fulfilled and that you'll do what you were meant to do while you're here on this earth. And then your purpose is not just about you. Anytime I've asked God about my purpose, it's never really about me. It's always about somebody else. It's always about helping somebody else. It's always about encouraging somebody else. Because that thing has a boomerang effect. Whatever you do for God, it's going to come back to you. Tenfold, hundredfold. Whatever you do for God, sincerely do for God, and you do for God's people, God is going to always make a way to bless you. You're not going to go without. You're not going to lack because that thing comes full circle. Because God is not a God that can lie. He says, what you do, try me and see. Try me and see if I won't open the windows of heaven and give you blessings you won't have room to receive. When you give to God, He's going to give back to you. And so how do we know if we're walking in our purpose? Number one, your purpose will stretch you and make you uncomfortable. That's when you know you're walking in your purpose. When you're out here wandering, you're comfortable, you know everybody, you're cool with everybody, you know your every little old move, you ain't doing nothing different, you got your little routine going. Yeah, you're wandering, but when God starts making you walk in your purpose, He's going to get you out of step with that routine. Some things are going to have to change. You're going to start reprioritizing some things in your life. And you're going to start realizing, you know what? That thing that I thought was so important, it has nothing compared to what God has me doing right now. It's a lot of things, I used to always, think that I had to have this thing or that thing, the newest thing, this, that, and the other. But when I started walking in my purpose, there's so many things that don't even faze me anymore. A new car, I don't care anything about a new car as long as my car drives. And I didn't used to think like that. I wanted the newest, the prettiest, the nicest, the shiniest, like everybody else. But when you start walking in your purpose, those things you realize are just material things. Those things are those things that are gonna pass away. And you start wanting and craving things that are gonna go on and be eternal. You talk about legacy. You talk about, leaving, your footprint on the earth. Those are the things that you start thinking about when you start walking in your purpose. It's not even so much about your life right now, but what are you leaving behind when you do go home to be with the Lord? What have you left on this earth? How have you influenced people? Who have you helped? That's the way you start thinking when you start walking in your purpose. And it's an uncomfortable feeling because you don't want to think about leaving. But at the same time, you got to understand we all have a purpose. We all have something that we're supposed to be doing to try to help this world be a better place. So your purpose will sometimes stretch you and make you uncomfortable because God is going to start opening some opportunities for you to some things that you've never done before. And that's when God is walking you in your purpose because now you have a desire to do things that you've never had a desire to do in your past because God is now opening your eyes now that you're willing, to be used by Him. He'll start opening your spiritual eyes and He'll start changing some of those desires, and letting you know what's important and what's not important in your life. And number two, The way you know you're walking in your purpose is your purpose will require sacrifice. Like I said before, when you start walking in your purpose, God is going to have to, shed some things off of you. You got to let go of some things. You got to let go of some people that are going to be hindering you and blocking you and keeping you from moving forward. And that's a sacrifice, because I know me. When I love you, I love you, love you, love you. I don't want to be away from you. I don't want to lose your friendship. I don't want to lose fellowship with you, but I'm learning to allow God to move people in and out of my life. And it's not that I don't love them. It's just that sometimes they don't have a place anymore in my life. And I've come to terms with that that's okay, because I enjoyed the time that we did have, but where I'm trying to go right now, you really don't fit in. You're not trying to go. You're not trying to do what I'm trying to do. You're content where you're at. You don't want to move. I got to keep moving. So it requires sacrifice, and sometimes it will hurt your heart to let go of some things, especially stuff that you're used to, those familiar things. It's hard to let go of familiar things. It really is, especially if you've got a habit of it or you've been doing this your whole life. It's hard to change your way of thinking, and that requires God. That requires time with God, and that requires God changing your heart to change some of our ways of thinking, because we are so stubborn. And people say, well, you're stubborn because you're a Taurus. No, I'm stubborn because I've done some things the same way for so long. God is having to change the way I think. He's having to change my mind about some things, and I'm glad about it, but it is a sacrifice. Number 3, your purpose may cause you to lose or distance from some relationships. And a lot of times it's with your family. A lot of things that hinder you could be those old family traditions, just things you've seen your whole life, whether they be right or wrong, and you just follow after it simply because that's all you know. So sometimes God will distance you even from your family because he wants you to see something new. He wants you to see something different, because just cause they're family don't make them right. So a lot of times those bad habits we picked up from being around our family. So God has to distance us, from those people. And number 4, the way you know you're walking in your purpose is your purpose will not only help you, it will help other people. So how do we go from being on track with our life to wandering through life? How does that happen to people? How does it happen that when people, they're focused, they're doing well, everything seems to be lining up for them, then all of a sudden they fall off? How does that happen to people? Number 1, poor decisions. A lot of times we get ourselves in so much trouble with the decisions that we make. We making rush decisions. We making permanent decisions over temporary situations. Been there, done that a million times. Or we taking bad advice from other people. That would be me. So understand, sometimes you throw yourself off track. You go from being on point, moving forward with your life, to falling off track simply because of the decisions that you make. Sometimes we allow people to finesse us and encourage us to do things that we normally wouldn't do, and then they leave us high and dry, and then you wonder how you got there. How did I fall off? How did I fall away the way that I did? Because you lean to your own understanding. You listen to the wrong voice. You followed the wrong people. We've all fallen in with the wrong crowd before, and we wonder, and we know it didn't feel like us, some of the stuff we were doing. We know those conversations they were having made us uncomfortable. I know I'm not the only one, just trying to fit in. And those people were not your people, but because they had a certain, status or a certain, popularity, this, that, and other, we try our best to fit in there. And sometimes we cause our own self to fall off simply because of the decisions we make, trying to fit in with other people instead of listening to God and following God's voice. We follow our own voice, our own understanding, or listening to the wrong person. So sometimes it's your decisions that make you fall off track. Number 2, extreme pain, heartache, or disappointment. Sometimes a severe loss in your life will take you from being moving your way up, just progressing, just growing year to year. Sometimes extreme pain, a heartache, or a disappointment. Maybe you were in love with somebody, and you thought your marriage was moving forward. This the person you thought you were gonna be with for the rest of your life, and then something happens and devastates your marriage. Sometimes people don't recover well from that. Sometimes it takes a long time of you being off track for you to get yourself back together and decide to pull yourself up by your bootstraps and realize that you can make it by yourself. I went through that when I got divorced. It was just like, I'm just so tired, simply because I fought so much in the marriage, trying to keep the marriage. Then when the marriage was over, I was so disappointed because I knew I was doing everything I could. I was compromising in many ways that I should have never compromised. And I pray to God I never compromise like that again. But when you trying to hold it all together, you praying, you're crying, you got other folks praying for you, and then it still doesn't work out. Sometimes you fall off track. Sometimes you don't want to talk to God because you get mad at God. I was mad at God for a while because I'm at the church praying, crying, trying to be there, trying to take care of my stepdaughter, doing all of that. Hey, Miss Christelle, doing all of that, and the marriage still failed. And I was like, God, I kept calling on you. God, I was praying. God, I was at church. God, I was at Bible study. I was teaching Bible study. I was doing this, doing that. I was up at the church, secretary. You doing everything you know to do, but sometimes it still doesn't work. And sometimes that extreme pain and that heartache and that disappointment will throw you off track. You'll feel like giving up for a little while. And I did that. I went through a stage where I was just done. I didn't want to go to church. I didn't want to be bothered. I was just spun out. And then God allowed me to heal. And that healing process is different for everybody, y'all. It took me some years to heal to where I got back and wanted a relationship with God. I was angry. I was tired. I was fed up. So that happens to people depending on the pain that they go through or the heartache. Losing a child throws people off track because you thinking that child gonna be here and you gonna go before they do. And then God somehow doesn't let it come out that way. That throws people off track because that kind of pain, you're not ready for it. Those surprises, those unexpected things in life. That's how you can go from being on track to falling off when you just not ready for what has happened to you. But the good thing about it, if you've got good friends, if you've got people that really love you, they'll pray for you until you can pray for yourself. And they'll pray for you. They'll stand in the gap for you until you can get back where you need to be with God. That's why I tell y'all all the time, check your circle. Because a lot of times we got people hovering in our circles that want to see you do bad. Can't wait to see your stuff fall apart. I got to witness that for myself. I had people that couldn't wait for my life to fall apart. And they wanted to be front row seat to the whole event. And was. And I was dinner time conversation for them, lunchtime conversation for them. Needless to say, God showed me who those people were, and I don't really deal with them anymore. I distanced myself from them because they were only there to get information. They were only there for the good times. They didn't have my back when things fell apart. That's why you got to know that you know that you know that you got people in your life that's down for you for whatever. No matter what you go through, you got to have some rock solid people that say, you know what, I don't have no judgment for you. All I got is love for you. I'm going to pray for you. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care if you don't want to talk to God no more. I don't care if you don't want to pray. I'm going to pray until you get back where you need to be. They don't give up on you. And that's why it's so important to have those kind of people, because they take you from wandering back to getting on track like you're supposed to be. And then number 3, another reason that we fall off track and end up wandering is we have a lack of vision. We don't have any vision for how we want our life to be. So therefore, if you don't have a vision, nothing is going to happen. If you're not speaking things into existence for your life, better into your life, and then you wonder why your life is still the same year after year after year, because you're not speaking vision. You don't have a vision for your life. You don't have an idea of where you want your life to be in 5 years, 10 years. All you can do is visualize it. It's up to God if it really happens. But you should have some type of vision that will help you get some direction so that you can move forward. But if you don't ever have a vision, you're always going to be where you are right now. And unfulfilled, miserable, talking about what you wish you could have done. That's a choice that we all make. You can either live life or you can talk about life. And I've decided I'm going to live my life. I'm through doing all that talking about what I wish I can do. If there's a way for me to do it, I'm going to do it. At least try it. Because I don't want to spend my whole life looking back, feeling bad about what I didn't do. Number 4, unforgiveness is another way that we fall off track. That unforgiveness, you guys, whether you don't forgive somebody else or you don't forgive yourself, unforgiveness will eat you up like a cancer on the inside. I've met some people that are mean and hateful and have held grudges their whole life, and then they wonder why they're sickly, why they have all these medical problems. I see it all the time, simply because they're not forgiving this person, that person. You're holding all of that stuff inside of you, holding that poison inside of you. And that other person went on about their life. They ain't thinking about you. That's why you're looking older. That's why you got wrinkles. That's why you've gained all this weight. That's why, you're taking 1,000,000 pills. It's because somewhere in there you're not forgiving. Learn to forgive, because you're going to want God to forgive you. And that's the thing I'll have to always remember. The word of God says, with the measure that you give out, you're going to be met with that same measure. So just like we're always praying, our Father which art in heaven, give us this day our daily bread and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. You hear that? You're going to get as good as you get. If you don't give forgiveness, then why are you asking God to forgive you? You're going to be measured with that same thing that you're measuring other people with. That's why it's not good to try to talk about what somebody else has got going wrong in their life, because we all got stuff that's not right in our own. So we need to pay attention on ours and not stand in judgment of anybody else. And we need to learn to forgive them, and we definitely need to learn to forgive ourselves, because we're never going to get on track if we don't let some stuff go. Yes, we did it. Can't undo it. Move past it. Forgive yourself. Try not to do it again, and move forward. That's the only way you're going to stop wandering through life. Because if you're always feeling guilty about what you've done in your past, that past has a hold on you. It's got a grip on you. And if the past has a grip on you, how are you going to move forward? You got to be free to move forward. The most freeing thing you can do is forgive somebody else and forgive yourself. You will instantly feel a weight lifted off of you. I've done it before for people that have done some horrible things to me. When I finally stopped being stubborn and realized that I'm miserable trying to hold on to this madness, hold on to this anger that I had for them. And when I let it go, I literally felt an instant, I remember tears coming down my face, because it was just like somebody took some air and blew it into my body. Because I could breathe again. Because that stuff takes up room. You can't be free when you've got all that bitterness and unforgiveness in you. And once you let it go, it clears out room for the good stuff, for the positive stuff, for you to be able to move forward. Another reason why we fall off track is out of fear. Maybe something horrible happened in your life, that stopped you. You were moving forward, you were bold, you were fearless, and then something bad happened to you. There's a lot of women and even men, a tragic thing happened to you, whether you had a physical altercation or an attack, or you were abused by a spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend. You've got something traumatic that happened to you, and you just have not been the same. since it happened. That will throw you off track, and that will leave you wondering, because if you don't get the help that you need to get past that, because sometimes it takes sitting down and talking with a psychiatrist or a psychologist to talk that thing out, to talk about what you're afraid of, what is still holding on to you. Sometimes you've got to get some help to get past that fear so that you can move on with your life. And number 6, too much stress. Too much stress will keep you wandering in life. If you don't handle your stress properly, your whole life will be about the stress in your life. You won't have time to take a vacation. You won't have a time to enjoy anything, because all you can deal with is that stress in your life. That's your whole focus. You wake up stressed, you go to bed stressed. You wake up stressed, you go to bed stressed. Some things you just have to let go and give over to God and say, God, I can't do this no more. I can't keep worrying about this. God, I'm giving it over to you. I want this weight off of me because it's more than I can bear. You have to learn to give things over to God and leave it there. Some things you're not going to be able to do a doggone thing about. All you can do is handle yourself better in that situation and stop letting the situation handle you. Because stress will keep you from being able to think straight. It'll make you sick. It'll make you really not care about your future. When you're under stress all the time, all you're trying to do is get through that 24 hours. And then the next day, get through that 24 hours. You can't even focus on the future because you're dealing with all the stress of right now. And stop letting people dump on you. Stop letting family members dump on you. Hey, Christia, don't let family members dump their stuff on you. And you need to learn how to let go of some stuff too and give it over to God. And quit trying to be the fixer. That was me. I was the fixer. I wanted to fix everything. Everything that was wrong, I was ready to attack it with a plan. Sometimes that's not for you to do. Sometimes that's God's job and you just in the way. So don't let stress and fear of things not working out. Fear of things not working out, that's a lot of why I'm probably still single. It's because I've gone through so much with men. It's just like I'm nervous about putting myself back out there because I'm just tired of all the excess, and then all the stuff that's out there now. You don't know who likes what, and everybody's all twisted up with the genders and all of that stuff. That stuff is too much. I'm on overload with that stuff. I don't understand it. I don't know that I want to. I want people to live their life and be happy, but that's not for me. So therefore, I can't be incorporated in that. So it's hard to know who to trust with all the stuff that people are doing now, with all the scams going on, with all the, just all the stuff that's okay with everybody right now. So that's a fear, of worrying about things not working out. That's something I'm having to deal with in my own life. So in that area of my life, I'm still wondering. I'm still praying about that. So that's something that me and God have to work out. Number 7, insecurity. When you're insecure, it's hard for you to stay on track because you're always worrying about, did I get that right? Am I good enough? Is that enough? You're looking for the applause of people. They didn't say nothing. It must not have been good. You're too worried about other people. You need to learn to be secure with yourself, because when you're secure with yourself, you'll be secure with your own decisions. You don't have to ask everybody, what do you think? Do you think I should do this? You're a grown woman. You're a grown man. Make your own decisions and stand behind those decisions. Be secure in the decision that you're making. You don't need everybody's mouth on your business. And that's why it's not good to just go around telling everybody everything that's going on in your life, because everybody don't love you like that. So you've got to be secure enough with yourself. You've got to love yourself enough to decide, you know what, I'm going to get back on track. I'm tired of dealing with this same stuff and worrying about what these people think and worrying about if that person's going to like and worried about hurting somebody's feeling. You got to get secure with yourself so that you can move forward. And then number 8, a lot of times why people fall off track, they have a health issue. If your health issue is bad enough, sometimes it just throws you off track because you're not ready for what you're having to deal with. All those emotions are hitting you, especially if you get a diagnosis that you weren't expecting. That's a whole nother wave of feelings and emotions and fears and all of that. So sometimes that throws people off track, and it takes them a while to come to grips with what they've got to do, come to grips that their life is not going to ever, be the same again, or that they've got to make some major adjustments just to have a quality of life. So sometimes you can be going on track and then you get that, that information about your health that devastates you. But the thing about that's where those friends come in. That's when those praying people that say they love you come in. While you're dealing with it, while you're trying to process, they need to be your support. They need to be the ones praying for you, praying for your health, praying for your strength, finding out what it is you need to kind of help you have a better quality of life. So those are the things that, can cause a person that's on track to start wondering in life. And there's one more thing: worrying and lack of trust in God. When you decide you're going to do things your own way, or when you decide that God ain't moving fast enough for you, you're going to fall off track at some point. When you try to get ahead of God, or you trying to do things because God is not moving like you want him to move, and you think you know what God wants for your life, a lot of times you're going to get off track. And God is a gentleman. He's not going to force you. He's given us all free will. But when you don't want to listen to him, you'll be back. You'll be back. And then sometimes a wandering woman or a wandering man can develop out of a loveless relationship. People think just because people are married, they have children, they have a nice house, nice cars, that everything's good. Sometimes you can still be wandering, and you're just going through the motion. Sometimes that you're so caught up in the hats that you wear. You're so caught up in being mom, caught up being wife, carrying that title of being the wife, managing a household, competing with the Joneses, having the nicest car, the nicest house. Sometimes on the inside, you're not even fulfilled. And that's what I hate about social media. It gives people a false sense of what's really going on. Just because people are on pictures smiling and cheesing and looking nice on pictures, don't get that twisted and think everything is good. Some people are living in loveless relationships, and they don't want to get out of them. They don't want to look bad in front of everybody else, so they just dwell in it. And they just wander their whole life, and then they get older and they look back and they say, I gave my whole life to this. Make sure that it's worth it if you're going to do that, because sometimes you stay in a place where you're not supposed to be simply because you're trying to impress everybody else, or simply because you don't want to be talked about, or simply because you fear of what's going to happen if I'm not in this position. Sometimes people are too scared to move out of a position that's hurting them, simply because they don't know what's on the other side. But that's where that trust in God is going to come in. And when you overextend yourself, you can be a wandering woman or man. When you get too busy, when you don't know how to say no to people, it's almost like being a robot. I got to be over here. I got to be over there. I told sister so-and-so I'm going to do this. I told my mom I'm going to do this. You live in your life for everybody else but you. So you're a wandering person. You're a wandering man or a woman, simply because all you can do is do for other people because you don't know how to say no. You don't know how to do self-preservation. That's one thing I'm learning, is it's okay to say no. Because you have got to make time for yourself, because you are not a robot. You're a human being. Your body gets tired. You need your sleep. You just need your quiet time. Especially if you're working full time and you're doing things for other people, you have got to make time that's just for you, because that's good for your mind, that's good for your body, and that's good for your spirit. Okay? And a lot of times, when you're a wandering person, you don't even know what to do with yourself if you're not wearing all those hats. You should have your own identity aside of what other people call you. You should be somebody else besides mama. You should be somebody else besides daughter. You should be somebody else besides sister or brother. You need to have your own identity about who you are, who that person is. If I walked up to you and said, so and so, tell me who you are in 5 minutes. A lot of people can't do that. They start naming off, well, I'm a mother of 3. I'm married to so and so. I do this job. I'm like, no, baby, who are you? And a lot of us can't even answer that question because we're so busy being everything to everybody. And we're wandering through life and we don't even realize it. You have got to get your own self-identity aside from what everybody else expects you to do. Who are you to you? And that's the thing that you need to focus on. And ask yourself these 3 questions. The first one I just said, who am I outside of my significance to other people? Or what I provide to them. Who am I? Number 2, what would I be doing if I wasn't caring for these people? What would I be doing, if I wasn't married? What would I be doing if I didn't have children? What would I be doing if I didn't have all these obligations? Find out what your passion is. Find out, what your desires are, where you see yourself, what you see yourself doing outside of what you do for everybody else. And then number 3, ask yourself, am I content with the man or the woman that I am today? Am I still growing? Do I appear to be leveling up each year, or am I still the same all the time? Have I been doing the same stuff for the last 10 years? Am I in the same position I was in 10 years ago? Okay? And then we have to understand that nothing happens, nothing changes without God. So we need to always include Him in our prayers and ask Him to show you who you are, because there's something unique inside of each and every one of us that's outside of, the husband, the children, the family members. You were born here by yourself. Therefore, God already had a uniqueness, a design for you outside of everybody else. So you don't need everybody else to tell you who you are. You have to discover who you are for yourself. Okay? So how do we stop just wandering through life, you guys? Number 1, we need to focus on what makes us happy, what makes you happy. Not everybody else, not what the kids want to do, not what your friends want to do. Focus on what makes you happy. Number 2, stop focusing on everybody around you. Turn your focus inward to your own life. Don't just wait on your dreams to fall into your lap. Step out and make them happen. Number 3, step outside of your comfort zone. This might be intimidating, but taking risks in life can help you feel more alive and feel more fulfilled. Number 4, explore your dreams, the literal dreams, the dreams that you have for your life. Explore those things and see if those things are still an option for you. Don't give up on them just because life took a turn to the left or to the right. If you still have those dreams, look into it and see if it's still possible for you on whatever level. Okay? And then finally, determine your values. Let them guide you. And when in doubt, do something for somebody else. That'll help you not wander. When you start being purposeful, you start helping somebody else be better. You're walking in your purpose. And lastly, but most importantly, we need to pray to God for direction for our life. That will keep us from just wandering through life. Because when He gives you the direction, you have to be willing to and obedient to follow His plan. And my final thought, the purpose of our Talk About It Thursdays is to help everybody improve and get to our best self. Because you are your greatest asset. You are your greatest investment. Wandering through life is not living life to the fullest. You want to live your life to the fullest potential possible. When your life is over, you want to say you gave it all you got. We all deserve to live that one day we can look back and say, I did that. Because We serve a God that moves mountains, and you have to believe that all things are possible because you believe and because you're a child of God. Thank you guys for watching. Love you guys. I will see you next week. Y'all have a wonderful weekend. Please stay hydrated. Stay out of the sun if you can. And I love you guys. And I've got some upcoming things coming in August. Stay tuned. I've got a realtor. We're going to do a segment talking about how to buy a house, you guys. We're going to talk about mortgages. We're going to talk about how to level up. You know, for those of you that want to buy a house, you may even want to become a real estate agent. Who knows? But we're going to get on there. I'm going to put that announcement out here pretty soon. So if you've got any questions about buying a house, you know, just costs, just the hidden fees, how do I qualify, you know, what can I do, you know, to sell my house, to buy a house, think of those things. And we're going to talk about that in August, and I'll post that announcement. But I've got a great realtor. He's a friend of mine, brother in Christ, that's willing and open to answer all of your questions and share some knowledge with us, because everybody doesn't always want to be a renter. Some people want to buy, but we want you to buy correctly. As I know I've bought wrong in the past, and just not knowing all the ins and outs of buying a house or even selling a house. So we want to equip you guys with the right information so that you get the most that you can for your money, and that you don't get, you know, tricked and mistreated while you're trying to buy maybe your first home, second home, whatever. So just stay tuned for that. That's coming in August. Thank you guys. Love y'all. Y'all stay safe. Bye.